Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the panel discussion on common participation terms of Sahmati. I would like to introduce you all to everybody. I'm just waiting for one more panelist to join us, but let me not take up your time too much. So we have a very esteemed list of panelists coming across from different entities. We have bankers here, we have registered investment advisors, we have people from NBFC side. So pretty interesting panelist. So today's session will be moderated by Kriti Trivedi. Kriti is the Deputy General Manager of the Corporate Legal Group in ICICI Bank, comes with immense experience and also has data privacy and its implementation in her kitty right now. So that's an interesting one. We have Deepthi Rastagi. I think we can't find her on stage right now, but I'll figure out. I'll get her on stage soon. Deepthi is the Group Legal Head and Chief Compliance Officer at Policy Bazaar. Again, having almost 2 decades of experience in compliance, corporate secretarial matters, and customer grievances. Jatinder Mohan Singh Shah, he is the COO of SME Lending in FinCare Small Finance Bank. Uh, he has varied experience across different business roles in the banking sector. Abhishek Pugalia, he is the co-founder of Gold Teller. It is a registered investment advisory company under SEBI. Again, 2 decades of experience in various capacities in the financial business. We have Shubham Saket. He is AVP Legal of DMI Finance Private Limited. Comes from a manager's legal solutions for consumer credit, treasury, corporate lending, etc. So I'll not take too much of time. Kriti, I will hide from stage and you can put on your video and take it forward.
Thank you, Ruchi, for that kind introduction, and good evening, everyone. I hope you all are enjoying this session as much as we are. Uh, like Ruchi said, we have a great set of panelists out here, and what we'll try to do is to sort of give you a more realistic, practical side of all the concepts that we've been hearing about this whole ecosystem. A couple of terms that you all would have heard in last half an hour, 45 minutes is this being a techno legal initiative, this being a multipartite, cross sectoral, interoperable. It balances the law and the emerging technologies, which is why it is called techno legal. It is fair, transparent. We've ensured speed and accuracy when it comes to dispute resolution and otherwise execution, not running behind everybody to get execution done. And of course, it's one of its kind, only having an international reference or similarity, so to say. So one of its kind in India. So I'll straight jump. We'll just quickly start with Jatinder to begin with. So Jatinder, now we felt that this document is multipartite, it's interoperable. It sort of lays down rights and obligations of all the parties at one place, so that everybody knows their rights and their counterparties' right. It's transparent in that sense. Could you just tell us that what would have happened if such a structure
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'll before I answer that question, I will like to give a small brief of how the account aggregator ecosystem actually functions. Then I think we'll be able to understand if this one centralized agreement or the ecosystem would not have been built, what would have happened. So on one side there is a FIU, which is the user of the data. On the other side is the FIP. FIP is primarily the banks in the financial services. Tomorrow this can be taken to GST, it can be taken to insurance companies, it can be taken, as somebody was saying, to the uh, mobile networks of the world. So FIPs can be varied. Now there is an entity in between, which is the account aggregator, which actually ties up both the FIP and the FIU and transfers the data from FIP to FIU. Now the complication of the whole process is that there is not single account aggregator. Today, if you see the ecosystem, already, if I'm not wrong, about 8 account aggregators have been certified and they are live, up and running. There are another 20 account aggregators which are in different phases of testing or in the different phases of signing up the agreements. So look at it from a perspective, and this will require a little bit of permutation and combination. If there are 20 account aggregators, and if I as a FIU has to sign up with all the 20 account aggregators, and in turn the account aggregators have to sign up with all the FIPs. So the whole ecosystem, if you take the permutation combination, methodology, and if you're a good student of math, you will realize this is a very, very cumbersome process. It's damn difficult because typically, majority of the folks here are from the business or from the legal fraternity. They will realize that to do one partnership, it requires detailed discussion with the legal team from both the side. Now here, if you're talking about 30, 40 kind of partnerships that needs to be done, I think it's an impossible task. Maybe a couple of years would be required for this ecosystem to actually function in a normal manner. And I'll give you a very simple analogy. It's like it's a game of football where two teams have come in, but there are no goalposts on both the sides. But the teams have told now you play the game. Now the game will be played and the ball will be dodged, here and there, but there is no goalpost, so nobody wins. So that is the problem. Now, I think what has happened is with this centralized, I would say, approach coming in, what happens is that when this decentralized approach becomes centralized, second is the agreement is binding on everyone at the same time. So transparency and fairness is also one of the big ethos which I think this one simple centralized ecosystem is trying to portray. Number third, very important, I think, which one of the speakers in the earlier session mentioned, is that this is an evolving ecosystem. Evolving ecosystem. So there will be suggestions. There will be multi types of different entities which are going to enter the account aggregator ecosystem. So this is an evolution. Phase one of this evolution is available right now as a central agreement, which is a 16-page document. And phase two, which subsequently will come out as and when this ecosystem starts growing. So the answer is very clear. It's like a game of football with no goalposts. So thanks that this Samati and team has been able to create that ecosystem for us, so that there is a goalpost which is available now, and a lot of structure to the process has come into place. That's my view. Over to you.
Sure, Satinder. Very, very well said. Another question that I have for you is, while this whole structure takes away the running and this multipartite, a lot of cumbersome sort of a process, how secure or how trustworthy this whole platform is? The whole exchange of data through this platform, the way it is secure. Do you really feel that people, especially the customers, would be able to trust this as much as they trust the one-to-one personal engagement with companies? What are your thoughts on it?
No, I think Kriti, that's a very, very good question because not only from the customer's point of view, I would say that currently in the ecosystem, banks are the first set of FIPs which have come into the picture, and banking is a very, very regulated ecosystem. Their data privacy, data governance is taken at that's the epitome of governance. You really can't do anything on that, and you know how the regulators see this. So I think from their perspective also, they will also be a little scared that what happens, at the end time when the data actually flows, what happens there. But one, two, three important aspects I want to highlight. One, the ecosystem is built on entities which are all regulated. So whether it is, from an RBI perspective or from a SEBI perspective, or the insurance regulators are concerned, or the wealth managers are concerned, but they ultimately come under some regulator which is of prime importance as far as the ecosystem is concerned. So the security standards and data governance is something which is already as part of the system. Another important thing which I want to highlight here is that there is a yearly audit which needs to be undertaken, because there are certain set of standards which have been defined into the ecosystem. So that one will take care any which ways, if there is any data leakage or whatever, that will take care of the same. But I think if you go through the SLAs on the PT doc, I think from a tech performance perspective, which is binding to all the participants with any no matter who they are. So I think it's a very, very well thought through, multi-complex kind of an ecosystem which is coming into place, and that is the reason that for last 1 year there has been to and fro going on between the legal teams of, and banks like ICICI, Access, and now we also know that SBI is is under the testing phase. It may go live in couple of weeks or month. Many PSU banks are coming into picture. There are many other private banks and NBFCs who have already taken this the leap of faith. But leap of faith is basis the basic structure which has been put into picture. The technology aspect, data governance aspect, I think has all been taken into consideration. So I don't see that as a challenge, and the customer should be very, very comfortable. This is under the aegis of RBI and the other regulated entities. So I don't think that should be a major issue.
Thank you, Jatinder. Very, very well said. Moving on to Dipti, welcome. So, Dipti, you come from an insurance sector, of course, a big sector, a lot of data, a lot of customers, lot of, personal information, private information, confidential information. How do you think, this multipartite, interoperational ecosystem, especially this document, sort of eases into your business? And how balanced do you feel are the rights and obligations are you? Do you find them fair? Do you find them transparent, or you find them lopsided, or like how? What's your take onto it from an insurance category perspective?
Sure, Priti. You know, just to introduce for the wider audience, Policy Bazaar is an insurance broker which is regulated by IRDA to solicit and distribute the insurance policies. We would be participating, and we have already participated for one entity with the account aggregator ecosystem as the financial information user participant. From the insurance perspective, specifically, at the time of buying the life insurance policies, financial underwriting plays a very, very important role, which means that we need to check the financial worthiness of a customer to fund the premium. Now, currently, the entire process is quite offline, I'll say, because a lot of documents are requested from the customer, like bank statements, mutual fund statements, etc., as income surrogates, which might be quite cumbersome. In the process, because the customer has to collate these documents, and then sometimes these documents are not even readily available with the customer. What we have realized with the entire ecosystem is that with the integration of the account aggregator, the entire process of financial underwriting from the insurance perspective can be smoothened out to a large extent, and the entire process can be made much more faster. We would be requesting these documents that we require for the financial worthiness directly from the financial information providers with the consent of the customer on real-time basis. So what we have realized that by signing to the Sehmati's participation terms, there's going to be the smooth flow of information between different entities which are governed by the different sectoral regulators, and one need not enter into different agreements with different entities. So this will be a once stop destination, which will be helpful for everybody, because a lot of time sometimes is required on the legal negotiations, and which takes away a lot of management bandwidth. So we believe that with the master document, everybody signing and committing to the same document, the entire process can be smoothened out. Uh, to your other question on the fairness of the terms of the rights and obligations of various participants in the document, I can say that we have gone through the document in detail, and there is no specific favoritism or preference that has been given to one particular participant over the other. Depending upon the role of each participant that one has to play in the ecosystem, the terms and obligations are very, very fairly drafted. So that's my take on it, and we are in the currently in the process of integration, and let's see how the execution will actually turn out to be.
Sure. Thank you, Dipti, for your kind views. Moving on, Shubham, welcome. Hi. Shubham, we heard some time back Pramod talking about the whole ODR, and of course Shalini also talking about the ODR. What's your take on this ODR? You really think ODR, it's an emergent dispute resolution mechanism. How do you blend, a dispute, an emerging dispute resolution mechanism with something like this particular ecosystem? Do you think it is good for it, or do you see any challenges? How do you want to address this? I mean, will it be well taken, or it's the best resolution in the times, in the digital technology world that we are entering into? We already are actually. So, what's your take on that, Shubham?
Right, Kriti. So first we have to understand that with respect to the ODR, this itself in the Indian legal system is at a very evolving stage. Secondly, we have to also understand this that the entire AI ecosystem is also evolving. So we are talking about mergence of two emerging things, which is ODR vis-a-vis the existing AI ecosystem. The fact is that from the NBFC perspective, we see it as a very exciting opportunity because, as Pramod rightly stated during the onset of this discussion, that the consent of information always involves four different parties. It starts with the end user of the information, goes to FIP, then FIU, and then ultimately, and in between we have the account aggregator. So when you have different kind of participants who are there in such kind of an arrangement, it is very much bound that there will be certain kind of disputes or grievances which one or the other participants will have against each other. And ODR can act and ODR can act as a very good mechanism to mitigate such kind of disputes because it will not only reduce the bandwidth of all the involved stakeholders to such kind of a dispute who comes to the ODR mechanism, but also there will be an equal sense of ownership and equal stake which all these participants will have when it comes to the outcome which will come out from this ODR mechanism. Having said that, like we all are aware that ODR has a lot of benefits, like it is cost effective, it saves times, it eliminates jurisdiction, and from the NBFC perspective, and also with respect to the account aggregator and talking about this multipartite participation of various stakeholders, the fact is that we have to understand that the end user may be located in a particular jurisdiction, the FIP may be in a different city, the FIU will be in a different state. So if all these parties are agreeable to resolve their dispute by way of an ODR, it will not only help to come to a very logical conclusion, but also it will also be time saving, and it will also ensure that the high volume of these kind of disputes are resolved and there is a very limited cost which is there. Having said that, that these are the benefits of the ODR which is there, there are also the challenges which we have to understand. That since this is an evolving ecosystem, we have to understand that in India there is a huge digital divide. Like the end user may be using a data by which he has provided his information to the bank while availing a particular loan facility or by doing a regular transaction, but the person may not be technologically equipped to contest a particular case when there is a problem with respect to their breach of data, or the consent or the information what we are talking about here may be revocable from time to time. So in order to ensure that in this particular ODR mechanism, the digital divide which is there in India gets resolved, because this digital divide is not only with respect to the technology or infrastructure, but is also with respect to the literature. A lot of people are not aware that how this particular system or function works. Having said that, we also need to sensitize, and I think Sehmati can do a very wonderful job by getting all the stakeholders under one platform, be it the businesses, litigants, lawyers, arbitrators, people who have keen interest in the ODR mechanism. So these are the few issues which can be addressed, because when we are talking about a pragmatic shift, like if you have a particular grievance, you do not see the person face to face. You don't know who exactly will be contesting your grievances, or if you'll be directly contesting your grievances against which arbitrator or mediator. The trust factor will be missing. But since this is a this is something which is not at a nascent stage, we are ongoing, we are in the process of evolving, and of course we will improvise. But having said that, if we are able to tackle these kind of challenges with a more pragmatic way, it will be a win-win situation for all the participants of this ecosystem.
Sure, Shubham. Thank you so much for your kind views. And I do really think that, online dispute resolution is the future, especially for corporates, for the benefits that you outlined. It's quick, it's faster, it is online, it is end to end online through the websites, fair, transparent. I think a lot of these features, with equal awareness, which I'm sure is already happening through all mediums, it's going to help out not just in this particular participation term, but across the sectors. We move on to Abhishek. Abhishek, welcome. As an investment advisor yourself, you deal with a lot of data coming from multiple sources, right? That's how you go about doing your investment advisory. So, what changes do you feel, are going to happen once you come on this particular platform, and how easy your life is going to be?
Right. So, as you said, the user comes to us for a full financial plan, and as a result, we have to get all types of information from the user, their income, expenses, assets, liabilities, insurances. And if you look at it, the information is needed from, all type of institution, banks, NBFCs, mutual funds, brokers, insurance companies. Now, currently, the way it works is that we have different set of information types or different types of information. But once account aggregator is fully functional, but it will help us in getting all the information together. Now, the second part to it is the participation terms themselves. Now, the participation term simplifies the things a lot for us because we don't have to connect with each account aggregator or provider of information separately to negotiate them. All of that is done through just a simple signing of terms and conditions, which everyone is signing, and we just negotiate the commercials. And once all the participants are there, the providers are there, a single OTP will ensure the user gets all his information, and we can make the financial plan. So yes, it will help us a lot in terms of simplification of our processes. Plus, I think the single participation terms already which are there are quite. I have already made our life simpler in terms of legal aspect.
So, Abhishek, in your field, customer being aware of all his rights, it's very important, right? Because largely
Right.
the claims come around to say that, this was not informed or they were not well aware. How do you think this whole multi-partite structure of this particular documentation is going to ensure that customer is aware of everybody's rights? So it's transparent that ways. And, in your view, can there be anything else which could be done to sort of educate them more? Like, what's your take on that?
Right. So I think, as you mentioned, the document already has the obligations and responsibilities of all participants, and very clearly it has also got the rights of the customers and the rights of the customer vis-a-vis different types of participants, users, providers of information, all of them. Now, so that I think is a very important part because it brings transparently out all the information a customer would need to know about his rights, his or her rights. And all the participants are also required anyway to publish this terms and conditions on their website. So if a customer at any point in time he wants to go and revisit those, see what the rights are, or if he needs to do something, they can just go and see those rights and take an appropriate action. So I think currently they are in a quite a fair and transparent status. All I think we can do further is communicate the rights of the customers to them more clearly. And anyway, I think the document covers that quite well.
Abhishek. So here's a wrap from all of us. Thank you so much for your kind views. Ruchi, all over to you.
Thank you everyone. Thank you, Priti, for moderating it. And we ended up doing a quick one, but we got everybody's point of view very clearly. So thank you so much, everybody. Um I hope it was a fruitful session and answered most of your questions clearly. That is probably preemptive. We preempted your questions and tried to answer them. I will end this session and start with the Ask Me Anything session. We already have a few questions on the question panel. I'll get others to join on the stage and answer your questions. Please hold on.